All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some LPDS updates in the LPDS universe. We get into politics stuff, I guess you can call it. It's kind of hard not to with what's been going on the past week. Talk about baseball a little bit, and we take a hotline call this week. So all that plus a Nic Cage fact coming up. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. Hope everybody had a good week. This is the show that talks about nothing, but finds the lessons in everything. So I'm going to talk about my week and see if we can find some lessons in it. If you're looking on YouTube land, first of all, I'm using my phone as a camera again this week because I've been troubleshooting the other camera for days now, and it's not worth the effort. So what I think I'm going to do is probably sell that to somebody who can use that digital camera for all its good features, and then use that money to maybe buy another camera that's specific for video, YouTube video recording, podcast recording, what have you. But if you're looking in YouTube land right now, you can see the quality is much better, in my opinion. I did turn this bottle of water around because I'm not sponsored by these people. I would love to be, but I don't want to. I've seen some other folks get in trouble because the company of like a water bottle or food that they're eating on camera doesn't like their show or program, doesn't want to be associated with it. So when my show inevitably hits the ears and eyeballs of this water company without the sponsorship just yet, I'm going to let them decide first if they want to be a part of this great universe. And then we can flip the bottle around. You've already seen it before. I don't know why I did it to begin with, but whatever. That's what I did. I flipped it so it wasn't facing because I want to earn their sponsorship, and also no free shout-outs, even though I already given a lot of inadvertent free shout-outs. So that's that. Anyway, I hope everybody had a good week. Mine was rather uneventful, personally speaking. And I'm not talking about the world. I'm talking about Libretti's week. Very uneventful. And I'm going to talk about just how uneventful it was, the exciting stuff that's been going on for me this week. It's lovely to have these quote unquote problems only for the week has been great. I'm very actually grateful that I don't have to deal with anything major like some other people in the world, in the country, and even listening in today. Now, before we talk about all that stuff, the hodgepodge of Libretti updates, I need to get this out of the way because I don't really want to talk about this stuff too much, even though I'm going to be talking about similar stuff in the Junction. But I delayed as long as I could recording this episode because I was waiting to find out further updates on President Joe Biden's campaign status, because I wanted to be able to report the most up-to-date current stuff when people are actually listening to this episode, which is going to be later in the weeks ahead after sure, a decision has already made it or updates have been made anyway. As of right now, I was hoping he made a decision 100% whether he's in or out when it comes to the candidacy, not the current presidential seat. He's not gonna do that, I don't think. Maybe he will. But I was hoping for some updates because there was a lot of speculation this past week after all the stuff that's been happening, and we'll get into that in the Junction. And then he got COVID. And I thought for sure he was going to make a final decision like I'm out this weekend, but I'm not obviously putting out a late episode of the LPDS just to provide that information. We'll just provide updates when we get them so that you guys get the entertainment you're looking for on schedule every week. Because I know most of you, if not all of you, are not getting your world current events information from the LPDS. Let's be honest. I'm always at the very least a week late in everything, just based on when we post this stuff and when we record stuff. So I hope you're not getting your up-to-date information from me. If you are, thank you, I guess, but it's late. It's delayed. You're going to be a little bit behind the curve in that regard. So anyway, I don't know. As of right now, there was speculation that he was open to dropping out of the race. All the powers that be behind the scenes were saying that he was open to. He was going to announce it maybe within this weekend when I'm recording this. Probably this week if you're listening. The actual week this episode pops out, a decision will probably be made or an update will be made anyway. And then he came out Friday of last week saying, I'm not fucking leaving. So who knows? Now, I did a little bit of digging because I still believe he's out. He's not going to be the nominee. He's not going to be the person on the ballot for the Democratic Party come November. So I try to do as much research as I can to find out how this can all work. And I really was trying to follow the money here because the big question is if he drops out, all the donor money was assigned to him and his ticket, him and Kamala. So if he drops out, that money has to go to Kamala. She has to be the next runner-up because it's the same ticket. Otherwise, that money can't be touched. And I was trying to find information on what happens to that money if it's not touched. Does a Democratic National Convention, does a party still keep that money, but they can't use it for this election? They can use it for future elections. Does it go back to the donors? I don't know that, and I haven't found out yet. There is no information out there on how that all works, at least available to me from what when I did some digging on that. So I don't know how that's all going to work. But I did look up and educate myself on a little bit of the Democratic Party's rules and regulations on their candidates and how they do that for their convention and stuff. So if Joey B drops out before August is their DNC. That's when he will get the official nomination from their delegates in August. And there's rules on like how many delegates you need to have to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. It's like roughly 4,000. He has like 3,900 of the 4,000 delegates that are available. He's got them all basically. And then there's rules with super delegates, which like they have more weight in their numbies, but they're not allowed to vote and make a selection unless there's a runoff, unless it's too close between two possible Democratic candidates. Then they can chime in. They changed that rule recently because I guess 2016 and even 2020, they use the super delegates to screw over old Bernie Sanders twice. So they finally changed the rule to make it a little bit more of a fair playing field. I don't know how fair it actually is because it's politics. So who the hell knows? But that's what it is. So their super delegate numbies don't count right now. They mean nothing right now. But if he drops before that official nomination, there's a bunch of different, they have to pretty much scramble to find someone to run. And then that person has to get at least 300 signature endorsements, if you will, 300 plus endorsements from delegates saying, yeah, he's good enough to now be, part of the conversation to get this. And they're saying right now the only one who would probably get the 300 in this short amount of time would be Kamala Harris because she's a VP. And I think they're only saying that because that would keep the same ticket, which means they can use the donor money. Not that they want her to be the president or be their actual nominee, but it allows them to use the money. So I think that's why they're saying that and they're pushing that information out there. But it could be anybody who could possibly get the 300, and then they'll vote, I guess, in August who they're going to give the rest of the delegates to. Now, if he waits until August to get the official nomination from the DNC, the only way he can drop out is, it says if he resigns, is too sick, and has to be is removed because of that, or he dies. Now, I don't know if resigning in that sense means resigns from the active presidential seat or just resign from the running. They weren't really specific on that. But all I know is if he waits until he gets the official nomination and then he's out, and he has a very strong case to drop out due to health and wellness, obviously. He's had a strong case for years. If he drops out or dies, then the Democratic National Convention, the Democratic Party, can select the candidate without putting it to a vote for anybody. They come together in their own little secret dungeon boardrooms and scheme and plot, and they can pick their candidate. They can't use any of the donor money, but they can pick their candidate. And I've said that from the beginning. I think that's what they want to do because they'll have more control over who they can pick. But that whole money situation does throw a wrench into my hypothesis because I don't know what they can, like. I think at the end of the day, they're going to try to go with whatever is going to give them the best access to that money now to pump out whatever ads and propaganda and whatever they want to send out. Because the Republican Party has access to their donor money to send out their ads and propaganda and whatever. So it's just an interesting times we're living in when it comes to this stuff. I was going a little tinfoil hatty and thinking they were going to use COVID as an excuse for him, to finish him off. Now, I don't wish that, obviously, but I thought that was like, oh, COVID, super old guy, already has got health, underlying health conditions. That could be their route. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them, unfortunately, as sad as it is to say. I wouldn't put it past any political party right now to do something like that. And we'll get into more of that a little bit in the Junction. But I'm trying to keep the tinfoil hat stuff to the side when it comes to the presidential race. We'll see how well I do. Anyway, moving on to more important stuff in the LPDS universe. What do I want to talk about first? Let's get this out of the way. The All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game happened last week. There's the Home Run Derby. There was that nightmare of a national anthem by that lady, Ingrid. I forgot her name. Andros. I don't know. I never heard of her before. Apparently, she's a singer or an entertainer. I don't know. But she butchered the national anthem at the Home Run Derby. It was worse than Fergie. I actually liked Fergie's compared to this lady's. If you don't remember Fergie's from one of the NBA All-Star games, tremendous rendition. Absolutely tremendous. This girl blew out of the water as far as how garbage it was. And then she put out a statement the next day saying she's sorry. She was drunk and she disgraced the national anthem and the people, who had to listen to that. And she's going to check herself into rehab. So if that's real, then I applaud her for, accepting. What's the first step to recovery? Acceptance, acknowledgement that she has a problem, and then going to get the steps to get the help that she deserves. Because, she's not a bad person. She just might have an issue she's dealing with. So hopefully she gets the help. I hope it's not a PR stunt just to make people get off her back a little bit so they're not trolling her as much. Because it's like, oh, she has a real problem. We'll feel bad as opposed to making fun of her. I hope that's not the case. I also, you don't hope that she's got a problem, but you hope she's being genuine. That's really all it is. So I wish her the best. Pete Alonso got knocked out of like the first round of the home run derby, if anyone cares about that or anyone watches or pays attention. I just think that's funny. I don't care too much for Pete Alonso one way or another. I just think that it's annoying how obsessed he is with winning the home run derby, and he doesn't even talk with even an eighth of the passion that he does about the home run derby as trying to win a World Series or helping his team succeed for once. It's not even close. When you ask him about the Mets trying to get better so they could compete in the playoffs and win a World Series for the first time since I was born in 1986, good luck getting him to show an emotion. But if you talk to him about the home run derby, that's all he cares about. And that's just a very weird thing for a Major League Baseball player to care about the most, is the home run derby. Especially this day and age when none of the actual home run hitters sign up to be in it anymore. Because it screws up their swings. They get, it's a waste of time. Everybody, it's like the Madden curse, the Madden cover curse. As soon as they do the home run derby, their second half of the season is garbage comparatively for some reason. And there's reasons behind it, but that you can look into. I haven't looked into. I don't care that much. Mainly because those guys are smart. They choose not to do the home run derby anymore. So you get a bunch of weenies out there. They're good ball players. They're not home run hitters. I'm talking about weenies in the home run game. Yeah, like Bobby Witt Jr., he's not really a home run hitter. He's a great baseball player, phenomenal. But he's not a powerhouse home run hitter. And then you have Pete Alonso. That the guy only cares about this. This is all he cares about. So I just thought it was a little funny that he lost in the first round. Now, it could be because he had the same guy who's been throwing his home run derby rounds to him for years now. If you looked at the poor bastard, the guy was like 90. And he was painting the corners. He was jamming him up. He was making him look silly. I don't know if I think because the guy is so old, he just couldn't pinpoint in the sweet spot for Pete Alonso anymore. But his pitches were like Greg Maddux, just shutting him down. Slow stuff, all about location, taking him to task, making him look absolutely silly. He silly. He was dog walking him all round. So, a little bit funny. Anyway, another little bit funny thing, also kind of a sad thing, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Clay Holmes did not pitch a single pitch in the All-Star game. Didn't even warm up in the bullpen. Sat in the bullpen all game, no playing time. Now, it's a couple things here. First, the All-Star team is loaded with talent. It's the All-Stars of the league. So they had plenty of better closers on the American League team to close out the game than Clay Holmes. Also, they had a manager, Bruce Bochy, managing the team for the game, who wants to win. He's a competitor at heart. That's why he's got so many World Series rings and successes, because he's a competitor. And he wanted to win the game, so he kept their top closer out there for all 3 outs of the 9th inning to secure the victory, Emmanuel Clase. That guy's untouchable right now. He's the best closer in the game right now, and it's not even close. So when you're trying to win the game, of course you're going to put him in over Clay Holmes. The National League team, their manager was changing up pitchers towards the end of the game every batter, so everybody got a chance to play. Guess what, though? They lost. Now, I'm sure he cared more about getting the experience out there for the guys than winning the game, but that's what you get when you do stuff like that. If you care about the players getting playing time, you're not going to win a lot of games. Okay? You're setting yourself up for losses. Now, again, All-Star game, you can make the debate. You can have the debate of whether it's more important that these guys get on the field and experience the All-Star game, what they flew out there for, or you win the game. Now, it'd be more important to win the game if it meant something again, that which they should do. Home field advantage for the World Series for whatever league wins. I don't know why they took that away. But there's just something about there's a reason why these guys are all pros. Most of them are pros. Why most of them are pros and why most of those coaches are out there. It's because they had that competitor spirit. They are competitors. They want to win everything all the time, no matter what it is. Board games with the family, their baseball games, working out, lifting more weights than their friends, everything. They're competitors. So I absolutely understand the American League side of I don't care if you play or not. We're trying to win a game. We're trying to win and be better. And I also can understand the National League side is these guys want to experience what it's like to be in between the lines of an all-star game. So that's up for you guys to debate. Maybe we'll do a poll in the future about stuff like that. I missed the mark on that one this time. So I'll try to do better and think of that stuff ahead of time if anybody cares about it, besides me and 2 other folks that listen to this. But what's sad and funny about Clay Holmes not playing is that first of all, he didn't deserve to be picked. We all know that. But the All-Star break is the chance for players, the vast majority of the baseball players, to spend some time with their families. Because you got a 162-game season. That's months and months and months of barely seeing your families, barely being home, missing birthdays with the kids, missing holidays, missing this, missing that, because you're always on the road or at a game or doing stuff. And the All-Star break is a chance for them to hit the reset button and spend a few days with their families. Unless you're on the All-Star team, and then you got to have the entire season without seeing your family and taking that break. So Clay Holmes had to fly all the way out to Texas, or where it was in Arlington, to leave his family again, to sit there and not do anything, to scratch his ass, dress up in those disgusting pink uniforms, and sit on his thumbs for 9 innings for the whole several days that the event was. So it's funny that that's what you get for being a fraud selection to the All-Star team. But it's also sad because he's a nice guy. I've always said this. He's a good human being. He cares. He tries hard. It's not that he just stinks. And you can't hate somebody as a human being just because they stink at the sport. And stink is a relative term because he is in the major leagues. He is a professional baseball player. He stinks relative to those guys out there in the MLB with him, but not compared to me. I can't hit his 90-mile-an-hour slider or his 97-mile-an-hour fastball that tails. I can't do it, but everybody in the pros can right now. So he stinks relatively to that. But it doesn't mean he's a bad guy. So I feel bad. It's sad that he missed the opportunity to spend some time at home with his family and rest, just to go sit. He got his rest in, I guess, but he just sat there by himself. I'm sure not a lot of people talk to him. He seems like a bit of a MacGruber, socially awkward. I mean, the guy wears arm prints. He wears arm sleeves without just wearing long sleeve shirts. That's weird. That's a weird guy. That's a guy who doesn't talk to a lot of other guys because they're not talking to him. So I feel bad about that. It's a little funny, though. Just a little bit. Always got to find the humor in the stuff. So that's all I'll say about that. Real quick, though, the Yankees, they're the Yankees of last year right now. Okay? They're the Yankees of last year. And they proved it in these last 2 games that I've watched since the All-Star break ended. They're playing the Rays. And I'll say this. I recorded this on Saturday, the 20th of July, and I stopped watching the game in the 7th inning, and the Yankees were losing 6-0 in the 7th inning to the Rays. They were getting dominated. I think they had 1 or 2 hits total right now. So they could have come back and won it. I don't know. I doubt it. So by the time you're listening to this, you'll know for sure. but they're the back to the Yankees of last year. Okay, because the game before, the first game back, Garrett Cole pitched, and he pitched like he was 100% again from his injury, like before he was injured. And he dominated the game. And the Yankees dominated the game. And then Garrett Cole doesn't pitch anymore, and the Yankees stink it up. Struggle bus city. And that's what the Yankees did all of last year. You had Garrett Cole dominating the league, and every time he pitched, basically every time he pitched, the Yankees won. At the very least, the teams were not doing well against Garrett Cole for 99% of his pitching performances last year. And then the rest of the time, while he was doing his 4 or 5 days of rest, it was struggle bus city for the Yankees to try to string along wins and scrap to get wins and get lucky. But most of the time, they were getting dominated by mediocre pitching. And they had 1 or 2 guys on the offense that showed up, and that was basically it. And that's what the Yankees are right now. They are back to 2022 Yankees. 2023 Yankees, excuse me. 2022 was... that was actually very similar. First half, they did well. Second half, stink city. 2023, stink city. 2024, that's actually very similar to 2022. First half, fake good, fraudulent good. Second half, possibly stinky. We'll see. But that's what they're at. And that's what we're going to get. Now, this is the interesting time for the Yankees, as we've been talking about for months and months and months now, for all the Yankee fans out there. We are now in the window to make the trades happen. The trade deadline is at the end of the month. I don't know if it's the 31st of July or 1st of August, but this is the window. From All-Star break to the end of the month is when the moves get made that we've been talking about. Now, there is not a whole lot of moves or available options for any team to make right now because there's not a lot of available good players when it comes to contracts and trade clauses and this and that. Also, the National League is such a circus act, they're going to try to scoop up every possible option known to man. So it's on Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner to be men, to be intelligent, forward-thinking men, and be the Yankees of old and aggressively seek these available options and give them offers they can't refuse to make these moves happen to get them to be at a competitive level for the playoffs. Because right now, what they got right now, plus the injuries they're currently dealing with and the injuries they're going to be dealing with the rest of the season, there's a good chance that they squeak into the playoffs in a wild card, and there's also a slight chance, a less than good chance, that they don't make it at all. Because you got the Orioles, as long as they get their heads out of their asses, they're probably going to win a division. They're good enough now. They don't need to make moves. They're good enough now. They just have to get their heads out of their asses. And then you have the Boston Red Sox, who are playing like animals right now. And I don't know if that's like a fleeting fluke, hot streak that they're dealing with, or this is going to last the rest of the season. If it even if it lasts half of the rest of the season, they're gonna make a dangerous push for a wild card position. And the Yankees are going to be hanging on for dear life to make an additional wild card position or just fall off altogether. That's not a good spot to be in as a team. So it's up to Cashman and Hal to make moves now to remove those possibilities. Just make them competitive again. So that they can adapt when there's injuries and when some guys are slumping, they have the tools. They made the moves to have the tools to pick up the slack for that stuff. That's what good teams do. So we'll see how that goes. The clock is ticking, though. And I am not as privy to the to the behind the scenes information and the good intel as people like my friend the Creature. So I'll have to ask him, but I have not seen a whole lot of activity going on in the Yankees front office. I haven't even seen a lot of rumors that are going on with the Yankees front office on moves they're trying to make. So we will see. Moving on. Here's how exciting my week has been. It's been raining on and off all week, which is fine. It's been good for the plants. And speaking of plants, I am starting to see little pepper buds on the pepper plants. There are some small buds that look like they're growing on the tomato plants, just flowers right now, possibly. But I got flowers on the pepper plants that are now turning into peppers. And that's kind of what it looks like in the plant growing community, the vegetable plant growing community anyway, is for these particular plants. You get these little flowers, and then from the flowers will pop off, and then the little vegetable or fruit will grow. So I do have buds. We're budding. We're budded up on some of these plants. Not all of them, but some of them. So that's promising. That's very good. Okay? That's life. Buds mean life. So I don't know how long it's going to take. Obviously, the peppers are growing faster than the tomatoes. We'll see how long it takes for this germination to happen, or whatever it's called. And I'll keep you posted. But I'm very excited for that. That's as exciting as things have been getting around here, which I'm not mad about. It's better than dealing with London boys and weird cross-dressers and you know, gatekeepers gambits and all that other stuff. I'll take rain and vegetable buds on plants. The other most exciting thing that happened to me is my dishwasher safe blender pitcher melted in the dishwasher. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what the hell I did. It's not the first time I've dishwashed my blender pitcher. It's the first time it melted, though. And I do want to give a shout out to the company Shark Ninja, because it's a Ninja blender. I got the Ninja blender because it's the best blender around. And here's why. Besides the powerful motor and the different pulsating options, if you will, the blade is a layered blade. Okay? It is not like the blenders of old where there's just a blade on the bottom and that's it. And you got to blend, and then you got to put a spoon in there and shake it around to get the stuff back to the bottom. And you got to blend again so it actually blends it up, and you got to keep doing that. It's got 3 levels of blades. Okay, they were the first of its kind to do it. And right now, I haven't seen any other company putting out blenders with that kind of technology. Maybe Cuisinart, but I haven't seen it. Cuisinart is usually more expensive because they've been in the game longer when it comes to kitchen items, appliances. So I don't know, but that's why I go with Ninja. They were the first of its kind. It's like the Gillette razor blades. As much as Gillette's giving me problems these days, Shark Ninja has the monopoly on the best blenders. Now you could do the Magic Bullet if you're making small stuff, whatever, with personal preference. If you want an objectively top-tier blender that'll blend anything. You could put anything in there and it'll blend the shit out of it. Ninja is unrivaled. There's nothing better. Absolutely nothing better. And it's really not that expensive when it comes to blenders. My blender was $90 for this thing. 72 ounces I can fill in that puppy, and it blends anything. Not right now, though, because my pitcher melted. But I want to give a shout out to them because initially on their website, it says you could buy replacement parts, and the replacement pitcher had to come with the lid, and it was like $65, $70, which is only $20 less than getting a whole blender by itself, which is crazy to me. I gave him a call. I told him the situation. I sent them we did a live video chat so they can see the blender being, actually melted and stuff. I wasn't just making it up. And they're like, no problem. Give me your address. We'll send you a replacement. and they're taking care of it. So shout out to them. They put a statement out there. Okay. This is dishwasher safe. It says it on the title on their website. It says it on their shop on Amazon, which is where I bought the product, through Amazon on the Ninja shop. And it says it right there in capitals, dishwasher safe. They put that out there. They put their nuts on the table. And when somebody comes and reports to them that it's not dishwasher safe and melted, they replace it. They were men and women of their words, and they replaced it free of charge. And that's customer service, folks. We have been talking about this stuff for years now. Years. On good customer service and how it's dying, and how people don't back up their talk ever. They don't actually take care of the customers or care about them once they make the purchase. And Shark Ninja shut them all up and shows them how it's done. Now, they make other products. I have their robot vacuum right now. It's not great as far as its capacity and power, suction power. And for whatever reason, the model that I got, I know the reason. I made the mistake. I thought this model was going to have house mapping features so I can individually vacuum rooms at a time. I got the wrong model. That's on me. But the power and capacity of it it's decent at best. It's whatever. But I'm still keeping it, and my future robot vacuums will be Sharks, the newer ones that can map the houses, of course. Because I know that if something happens to that vacuum or that appliance or whatever, I can now count on their customer service to back up their words and take care of their customer and support them. So shout out to Shark Ninja. I'll let you know when I get the new picture, and we'll be blending again in no time. So thank you for that. Moving on along. I think that's all I got for the current events for LPDS universe. There's really nothing else happening. So yeah, we're good. I don't know. Spearhead updates. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of work on product development so I can have good frameworks and stuff for clients. And now I'm shifting over to more aggressive prospecting, if you will, trying to build some relationships, provide some value to folks to the point where they, trust me and see the value in actually hiring me. That's kind of how I'm trying to approach this. If anybody has any tips on client outreach and landing clients in that regard, let me know. I'm always open to new and improved ways. I've been doing a lot of cold calling, a lot of cold emailing, and I'm trying to now shift over to people in the business world I already know to see if I can take that avenue. It's more like a warm calling, instead of cold calling. So we'll see how it works. I don't know. Anyway, that's the update there. We could get into the good stuff now. Step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right, today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by The Silencer. Do you have a baby or a young child who won't shut up and just cries and whines nonstop, but you don't want to get in trouble for shaking it to death just for a minute of peace and quiet? Then get yourself The Silencer today. The Silencer is a non-street legal seat that shakes your baby for you to keep it quiet and keep you out of prison. Simply strap the little piss pants in the seat, set the silence setting to the age of the child and the silence time you want, and let the silencer do the work. So to finally get a little quiet time in your day, pick up a copy of the latest Skywall magazine and place your order today. And if you use the promo code Casey Anthony, you get 29% off. Not a lot of thought into that sponsor this week. So there you go. All right, now the cage fact. Talking a little bit about long legs again. Excuse me. I'm going to butcher this name. The star character, the star actress, Micah Monroe. I don't know if it's Micah or Maika. It's spelled Maika. I haven't heard anybody say it out loud, so I'm just making a guess that it's pronounced Micah Monroe. She was the head. She was the star, the protagonist in the movie. She was an FBI agent in the movie. They had a scene. She had a scene with Nic Cage, and the director and the producers and stuff, really the director, made it a point. I think Nic Cage had a little bit of hand in this too, to not have Micah meet Nic Cage or see Nic Cage in character at all until they filmed the scene together. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, or even if you have, whenever you see the movie, there's a particular scene, you'll know what I'm talking about, that she goes, it's the first time she sees the character in the movie, and that's the first time she saw Nic Cage in his full long legs, regalia character, living the life of a long legs of the long legs guy. And they actually said that her heartbeat rose to 170 beats per minute when she first saw it. That's how sinister this character was. And throughout the whole filming of the movie, the only person with regular, unfettered access to Nic Cage behind the scenes, or like when they weren't physically filming a scene, was a director. And they did that on purpose again, so that there was a mystery to the long legs character. So he would film his scenes, and then he would basically disappear to his trailer or go home for the day. He didn't do a lot of hanging out with the people outside of that. But while they were in the midst of filming, if they had to do a quick cut, it's not like he ran away and didn't talk to anybody. He worked, they said he was very friendly and helpful to people. And he also kind of gave them a fair warning that, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And not because Nic Cage was not doing a full method acting situation like Jared Leto does, like a freak, and like Jim Carrey did for the movie he did when he was Andy Kaufman. I forgot the name of that movie. Damn it. They had even a documentary on Jim Carrey playing the part and how he was fully method acting the entire time filming and whatever. Nic Cage didn't do that. They just kind of removed him from the people afterwards so that he can focus internally on the character. But he wasn't out in the streets acting like this psychopath like Jared Leto did when he was Joker, I think, in Suicide Squad or something like that. They said he was terrible to work with. Anyway, that's the Cage fact. Now, here's what I will say before we move on. I saw Long Legs last week. Okay. I want to do a full recap review, but the thing it'll be loaded with spoilies. Okay. And I want people to listen to that and tune in after they've seen it, so they can see if they agree with my review, if they saw the same things, and we can kind of have like an interaction. I can ask some questions ahead of time, and we can kind of enjoy that together. So I'm not going to talk about it other than Nic Cage's character is unrivaled. I have to do some digging and some introspection to see if I saw a more cagey performance than what he did in this movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. Everything else, no spoilies. Even though I don't give a shit about spoilies, it's 2024, okay? Unless you have zero social media, zero internet access, don't watch commercials on TV, don't listen to anything on TV, you're going to get spoilies thrown at you somewhere. So I don't care about it's going to happen. And I'm not catering to your desire to don't spoil them. Just go see the damn movie then. Go watch the show. Go read the book, whatever it is. It's not our responsibility to make sure your desire to not be spoiled is met. That's your thing. Go watch the movie. If you care that much, you'll watch it sooner. That's why I'm okay with not watching movies for, months or even years after it comes out, or a TV show. I usually wait till the series actually is over so I can binge it all in one shot, but that's years down the road because I don't care about spoilies. They're inevitable. It doesn't affect how I'm going to view the movie or TV show. Now, I know people are different. And people don't like spoilers, and they like to enjoy and they like to experience everything firsthand. Got it. But that's on you to figure out the best way to go about that, not on everybody else. Go watch the show as it's happening. Watch the movie as soon as it comes out. I don't give a shit. I do give a shit about the LPDS community, the Jabroni Junction, the universe, and I want to share in experiences when new cool stuff comes out like Nic Cage movies. I want us to share that together, so we're going to do a review and a recap later on when most of us had the opportunity to view and watch the movie and enjoy it or dislike it, whatever you want, however you feel about the movie, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about Nic Cage's character separately as well, because I think you can make that, you can have that. I always have that conversation when it comes to Nic Cage movies. There is the movie itself, how good or bad it is, and then there's the Cage performance, how good or bad it is, how good or great it was, really. So that's what we're going to do. That's why I'm not talking about it on this week's episode. Now, another reason why we're not talking about it, and this is where we'll move into the Junction, we'll spin the logo up, is some slightly more topical, important things have happened in the free world and in America the last week or so that have taken precedence over a Nic Cage movie review, unfortunately. And that's the attempted assassination on former President Emperor Trump at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. That's a big deal. I don't think certainly the people who hate Trump don't consider it as big a deal as it really is. But in the grand scheme of things, this is a world event. This is a big world event. Okay. For a lot of people, there was basically 9/11. A lot of people right now, that's generally my age, because I was not old enough to comprehend the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. I don't remember was that 86, 88? I don't remember. 80s or earlier 80s. I don't remember the exact date. Probably 82, maybe. I don't know. So I clearly wasn't old enough to remember that if I was alive. So there's 9/11. COVID was obviously a big deal that shocked the world, that took the world by storm. And then this is a pretty big fucking deal. Sorry, Terrence Family Show. These are big events in history that you talk about. And I know, and there's going to be people out there that deny that. Oh, it grazed his ear. It's not a big deal. Nothing really bad happened. It grazed his ear because they just missed. It didn't mean the attempt didn't happen. It didn't mean that the guy was not shooting to try to kill another human being on live television. It did happen. It's a big deal. And the guy's running for president. He's also a former president. Big deal. Okay? Now, some of the older listeners out there have seen the Reagan one live. They saw the Robert F. Kennedy, the JFK, maybe. Was there another attempt on somebody recently? I don't know. But these are big deals, okay? Regardless of how you feel about the person, It's a big deal. If the same thing happened to Joe Biden, it's still a big deal. It's the same amount of deal. Could be a little bit bigger because he's the current president. Still a big deal. Okay? Objectively speaking, this is serious stuff here. Now, I'm not here to recap the situation or put the tinfoil hat on and start talking about theories of inside job, staged, hoax, this and that. We're not doing that here. You want to have that conversation with me off camera, behind the scenes? That's, or maybe later on down the road, we could do that. Sure. We'll have a conspiracy corner episode of the LPDS to talk about that. Right now, there's not enough information, confirmed information out there to make any sort of tinfoil hat theories or any theories right now, in my opinion. That's just my 1 cent opinion. I will say this, though, real quick. Anybody whose initial feelings that ended up transpiring into public statements, whether on Twitter or making videos on TikTok or Instagrams or whatever, Facebook, whatever, if your feelings were that of, I'm pissed the guy missed, or, damn, he missed, it should have got him, I wish we had a better shooter out there, or great, now he's just going to use this, and his stupid cult of MAGA Trumpies are going to use this against us, like as if it's us versus them situation. I feel bad for you guys. You guys need to get some serious mental health help. And if you're currently going through that, getting that help or therapy, get a new therapist. Get a different professional out there to provide that health and wellness that you need, that you deserve. Because if that's your initial feeling that you felt so strongly about that and confident that you decided to post about it and put it on the internet for all to see, your feelings of anger that a human being, an American human being running for president, didn't die, you need help. That is a cry for help, okay? And whatever help you're currently getting is clearly not working. I feel terrible for those people. I really do. I feel terrible for them, because what a sad, sad existence to live in when that's how you react to a United States presidential candidate almost dying on live television. Now, I have some conspiracy theories on why I was on live television. Again, I'm not going to get into that. But that's very sad. That's very, very sad state of affairs, that there's a large group of people out there that felt that way. And that's just from years and years and years of listening to people telling you, this guy's Hitler, he's going to become a dictator, he's going to ruin our democracy, he's going to start nuclear war, he's a bad guy. And when you hear that about somebody and you don't do any further research and investigation on your own, and you just listen to that for 8+ years, I could see how you got to that point. I can, especially if you're younger, like the 20-year-old shooter who was a 13-year-old kid at the time that Donald Trump decided the first time to run for president. From that point on, that guy got, from his teenage years, his bar mitzvah years, 13 on, he heard nothing and listened to nothing but information saying that this is the next Hitler. So if you grew up like that, and we could talk about this too, and I don't know if I mentioned it previously or not, but what do we do? We do this all the time. We have this little thought exercise. If you could go back in time, what would you do? And how many times have you heard people say, oh, I'd go back and kill Hitler? I've got to go kill baby Hitler to prevent everything that he did. That a lot of us have said that in the past. And you've heard a lot of people say that in the past when we talk about little things like that. Oh, if I had a time machine, I go back and kill Hitler, no problem. Some of us have said that if they had the power of a time machine, they would go back to the World Series 2001 and tell Derek Jeter to back up to the infield outfield grass to stop Luis Gonzalez from steroid pushing that single over the infield to win the World Series and upset the Yankees. Some of us had said that before, and I don't argue too much with it. But a lot of us have also said going back and killing Hitler to prevent the Holocaust and the wars and the dictatorships and all that stuff. So when you hear that, when you grow up hearing from one side, at a very loud one side, calling this guy the next Hitler, if you truly believe that this guy is Hitler, you would be considered doing a service by taking this guy out, instead of having to theorize after the fact of going back in time to take out the next Hitler. So again, I can see, I could do the mental gymnastics to see how people get to that point. But it's just not true. And whether you like the guy or not, there has been nothing that he's actually done. And I don't like the guy very much. But there's nothing that he's done that actually connects any sort of dots to anything or even remotely close to what Hitler did. Don't forget, folks, Hitler killed 6 million Jews in the most torturous ways possible while he was doing meth on a regular basis to try to wipe out an entire religion of people. Okay? Orange Man spent 4 years keeping us out of new wars. Say what you want about the guy. He's an asshole. He's insensitive to people. He lies. He's a corporate sort of sleazeball. But don't you think that the next Hitler would try to get into wars in 4 years' time? You don't think that the next Hitler would have tried to come up with some sort of reason to get into a worldwide conflict, or even a smaller conflict, just to get things going in that direction, to do Hitler's style stuff? Don't you think that? So that's why I feel bad for these people, that they can't even get out of their own way to try to take a step back and think about things. I don't think Joe Biden is the next Hitler either. I think he's just an old, senile, corrupt, lying politician like the rest of them. So those people, again, I wanted to say this quickly. I said this longly. That's not a word. I feel bad for those people. Get the help you need. If that's how you truly feel about this thing, get the help you need. That's very sad. That's really sad state of affairs when you feel that way about people in this country who are not. If this was like a child rapist, like an Epstein type, nobody got angry about it. There's nobody up in arms and rioting in the streets about the Epstein sex trafficking ring. I'll be a broken record about that. That guy and Ghislaine Maxwell came together to create the most like renowned, disgusting child sex trafficking ring for celebrities and people in power in this world. And nobody seemed to even have an ounce of feeling against that guy, nearly as much as Orange Man. That's mind-boggling to me. But it says something about the messages we're putting out there to the people and what the powers that be actually want us to care about. So I feel bad for those people. Now, the only thing I will talk about specifically about the situation is the Secret Service kerfuffle. There's been a lot of funny memes out there about the some of the Secret Service agents that were assigned to his detail for that event, that rally. The women ones. Uh, and this is another situation where I feel bad, and I wanted to kind of get your take on it. It's also fun, like now that like he's okay, that he didn't die, and everything he's okay in that regard, and we can move forward. Um, it's really still not that funny because people did die, but as far as their job goes, I guess they prevented him from, they didn't make sure, he didn't die. He got hit, which was a failure on their part, but then he didn't get hit again to finish him off. Whatever. But there's just a lot of videos out there, a slow mo of these they call them DEI hires because they don't look qualified to be doing Secret Service detail at all for anybody, let alone like a Walmart, let alone an actual presidential candidate. And they got this lunch lady Pat, this grossly overweight gal, and she's fumbling to put her gun in the holster, which again is like, I've taken guns in and out of holsters before for training and stuff like that. When you first go through it, yeah, you kind of miss your spots because you're not looking. You got to look down to find it, and then you kind of figure out through training and practice. You figure out where your arm needs to go, the slot it needs to be in, and then you can get a good finger feel of where the holster is so you can slide it in. And you just, through repetition, perfect practice makes perfect. Through good repetition, you figure it out. Clearly, this lady did not have a lot of training or didn't do any extra training at all because she looked like somebody who just got her gun a week ago. And they gave her a quick hour-long tutorial, like a gun safety, and sent her on her way. And the memes and the videos have been very funny. There was a couple of videos that slow-mode her, watching her do this, and they were talking. They had the narrator talking like it was like one of those Discovery Channel wildlife videos. Those were funny. There were some clips of them. You could hear them in the background when they were swarming the stage to cover the president. The ladies, the particular people in question, where you could hear them out loud. What's going on? What are we doing? What do we do? Where do we go? Like clearly had no clue. Now there are some theories out there that they weren't actually Secret Service. They were Homeland Security, HSI, Homeland Security Investigations officers. I don't know for sure. Again, I'm not here to theorize there, but the videos were funny to laugh at given the gravity of the situation. My question is, because I've heard a couple arguments, and I didn't put this to an LPDS poll because this is really just like something to think about now, so you have even more time, and we could talk about it at a future date, and I'll put up a poll again later on of like, hey, now if you had some time to think about this objectively, because if I posted the question on like a Wednesday or even earlier in the week, it's only a couple days for you to think about this stuff. And I like to give people more time to spend the effort on things if they want to think about this further and to answer a question or give an opinion based on evidence. So maybe I'll do this later. But my question is, do you think these particular Secret Service agents deserve the trolling and the vitriol that they're getting on the internets and in the media and this and that? Now, here's why I'm asking that. Because on one hand, my initial thought was that's their job. They're supposed to be the best protective unit in the world, protecting the president and the presidential candidates. And he's a former president. So he gets Secret Service protection for life as a president. So he's already getting like the higher tier stuff, supposed to be. So I know that argument. It's like, no sympathy for these people. They should have been, don't be in the role if you can't do it. Got it. Understand that on the surface level. But on the other hand, what if they, What if they weren't trained? What if they didn't get the training that they deserved, that they needed to be the best? What if they were, sort of coaxed or pressured or highly encouraged to join the Secret Service to fill some quotas? Because that was a thing that the Secret Service director was bragging about a while when she first took over, was like, we're going to have training classes where the majority are female and people of diversity and all that stuff. Whatever. Say what you want about that. That's not what we're. So maybe these were part of that. I don't know. And maybe these were just people who wanted to do something of service to the country in some way, shape, or form. And this was an opportunity for them to do that. So they took on this opportunity. And then it's how much of it is their fault that they're getting dickbag training and terrible leadership, to throw them out to the fire like that. So like I said, on one hand, I completely, I'm all about, like, if you're in the job that you voluntarily signed up for, there's no draft for Secret Service. Nobody's forcing you to do that. If you're in that job, you better be the goddamn best. Okay? That's what when you wear that pin, when you don that pin that says I'm Secret Service, when you wear that badge, when you put on those aviators and dress like Men in Black, that's what that represents, the best of the best. So you better damn well act the best of the best and be it. But on the other hand, again, babies and children don't know how to talk and respond and walk and stuff without being taught how to do it. Okay? We don't know how to read until somebody teaches us how to read and write. So if they go into this and nobody's teaching them how to be the best protection, how to holster your weapon and provide the training and the opportunities to get the repetitions in and to know what to do in this sort of event, where to swarm. So they're not asking questions. Where do we go? What do we do? Without that effective training and the repetition and the leadership element there to lead them to that success, how much at fault are they? I'm a firm believer in the buck stops with the leadership element. And there's a lot of people that argue that because when for a lot of teams out there, a lot of, military units or companies, organizations, there's a CEO that's like so far removed from the lower levels. And if the lower levels jack up, they don't know about it. So how can it possibly be their fault? They're the leadership element. The buck stops with you when it comes to ownership and responsibility. Okay? If you're not providing the tools and resources and training and leadership down to the people directly below you so that they can do the same to the people below them and so on and so forth up and down the chain, it ends up being your fault. That's on you. It's not on the low-level person's fault because they did not know. They didn't have the training. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have the resources, the education, the leadership necessary. And there are very few times where you do, those investigations of issues in the corporate world, in the military, wherever, where it's solely on the individual and not the leadership. Like the leadership provided all the resources, all the tools necessary, all the education, all the quality leadership and relationship building that they could possibly do. And this is just a bad egg. Very few times is that the case. Because usually if you have a bad egg like that and there's nothing that can be done, that person is attrited long before they can make a giant mistake like that, or they're supposed to be. And if they're not, then again, that's on the leadership element. So the buck, like I said, most of the time, if not all the time, stops with them. So I lean more towards it's funny to make the entertaining memes and jokes about it, but they were put in a situation without the equipment and resources and education necessary to perform at the level that they need to perform. So I do feel bad for them for that regard. The jokes are still funny. I'm still going to laugh at that. And I hope I would like if I knew these people, I would like to laugh with them about that, but also have the conversation of like, I get it. It looks bad, but it looks worse on the leadership that put you in that position too. So if you find funny memes and videos about this stuff, send them my way. Because here's the thing that I also firmly believe in, and this is more of a coping mechanism. Whether it's a good or bad coping mechanism, that's what it's a coping mechanism for me for sure. Is finding the humor in everything. That's that's what we do here at the LPDS. We find the lessons in the humor in everything. Because if you can't laugh, what can you do? You can't live life that seriously. So I always look for the humor to kind of cope with the gravity of certain situations. And this one, there's a lot of gravity to this one. And there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of serious things going on in relation to this situation. The innocent bystander that was killed, the other two that were hit and injured. Terrible, terrible. So I cope by finding the humor in stuff that's not as related to that. So like the videos with the little clown music in the background of these Secret Service agents running into each other, not holstering their weapons, not knowing what to do, pretending to look tough and like they're doing it. I laugh at that separately from the whole of the situation to try to cope with it. So if you find that stuff, let me know. If that's how you also kind of live your life, let me know. Cool. We're relatable. Like we got something in common there. So, um, that's all I got on that topic. Okay. Like I said, I can tinfoil hat theory all day, but I'm not going to because that's, annoying for a lot of people. And it hurts my brain sometimes to do those exercises, even if it's just for funsies. I try to find the fun ones like birds aren't real or the alien stuff. These serious things, these are a lot tougher to, you don't want to have a good time theorizing about assassination attempts on presidential candidates. You know what I'm saying? Now, real quick, before the hotline call here, there was a big IT outage. I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on a little bit on this one, but I'm going to very briefly talk on this because I don't know have enough information. This just happened recently, but I'll provide more tinfoil hat theories on this later on. There was a big IT outage through the company CrowdStrike that like has its hand in this software that affects a whole bunch of stuff of importance in this country. Flight servers, flight programs, other government software programs, corporate entities, like everybody was affected by this IT outage through CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike put out a statement saying that somebody pushed an update to their programs, like a regular standard update, and the update had a bug in it and it shut things down, and they got to figure out no problem. It was only several hours where things were down, but flights had to get delayed and shut down. Other businesses couldn't operate. People didn't have internet or access or whatever it was. I don't have all the details, but it was a significant outage that affected a lot of people in this country, probably even in the world as well, because CrowdStrike is not just a nationwide country; it's a company. They're international. My tinfoil hat theory is CrowdStrike was also involved in a lot of significant government events when it comes to hacking and stuff like that. There was the Chinese hack years ago on the government. Well, I don't know if it was the OPM one or the Pentagon hack that CrowdStrike was involved in helping investigate that, quote unquote, investigating it. They were involved in the Russia 2016 election hoax that Russia was tampering with the election. They were involved in that. They were also involved in the Democratic National Convention server crap recently. I don't exactly know all those details. And then it was also involved in the 2016 Clinton email server debacle, where she had her own private classified server, and then all of a sudden that stuff magically disappeared. So my tinfoil hat theory is that they're involved in politics and government somehow. Okay. This is a tinfoil hat theory. I want to be very clear. Okay. That doesn't mean I believe this. This is a theory I want to put out there for people for entertainment purposes. Okay. And if you don't consider this to be entertainment purposes, if you think there's some sort of more seriousness behind it, let me know. That's not my intention. This is just, again, I'm trying to find some fun in some otherwise serious crap. And a lot of times the fun stuff is having conversations with these conspiracy theorists who are, literally putting tinfoil on everything to prevent the alien rays and the government rays from coming in and stealing their brain matter, whatever. So the tinfoil hat theory is that because they're involved with the government, this was sort of like a practice run to see the impacts of an outage, to see who it impacted, what the damage would be, and what the response would be, and the response time to get things back up and running for everybody so that bad people can do secret things. And then in the future, a bigger event's going to happen, and it's going to be a similar situation where they're like, we didn't, it was just another bug. We couldn't see it. We did everything we could, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But if you talk to the conspiracy folks, something is fishy, okay? Something is fishy and stinks about this whole situation with the CrowdStrike, and they're not happy about it. So when I find out more information from them, I'll keep you guys posted. It's a developing conspiracy story. I'll keep you posted. I'm reporting the news. I'm not providing opinions yet, okay? This is not my theory. If I said that earlier, I don't know. I was rambling before. If I said that earlier, I apologize. It's not my theory. It is a conspiracy theory that I'm talking about. Okay? So that's that. Really quick, we got a hotline call I want to get to, and then we'll be on our way. So stand by 1 second, and I'll pop this one call up. We'll knock out the big three, and that'll be that.
Johnny, Tony Ciccone here. After I listened to your Chicago trip, I had to give a call in. I don't know how you were able to keep all that food down. I didn't eat till a day after listening to all of that. You got to be careful, my boy. A lot of eating like that, if you're not 20 years old, you got to be careful with what you eat. So the amazing thing is, I don't know whether or not I think you should have went to the doctors to get your cholesterol checked, to get your blood pressure checked, to get your heart checked. And you know what? I think you need another colonoscopy after all of this, because all of that food, my God, I can't believe that you ate all of that stuff. You know what? I think the next trip that you take, you got to go on the side of eating healthier. You talk about health, you got to follow your own message and do the same thing. I'm not trying to scold. I'm not trying to say anything that you did the wrong thing, but please, my stomach was upset for a day after listening to all that food, imagining if I would have done that, there's no way I could have kept all that food down. Oh boy, you're something else, kiddo. All right, look, you say stand strong, keep plugging, and be safe, but also you gotta, Johnny, you gotta watch what you eat, okay, buddy? I'm for you. I'm with you, and keep plugging. But please watch what you eat, because it's disturbing my stomach by listening to stuff like that. Okay, buddy. Have a great day, and keep plugging. Peace. Bye-bye now.
All right. Thank you for that call, Tony. I appreciate it. I appreciate the concern and the sentiment for sure. Love that. And I always know you're always going to be there for that for sure. I will say this. A couple things. First, we prepared for this long ahead of time. Okay. We knew about this trip and the goals of this trip. This was a food trip. We were going to visit our brother up there in Chicago. But this was not a touristy trip with the brothers. This was a food trip with the brothers. So we spent weeks and weeks prior adjusting our diets and our workout training programs and this and that to be able to handle all this and still be good to go, if you will. Plus, during the actual vacation itself, we were getting 12, 15, 20,000 steps in a day. We weren't taking naps. We were eating, and they were walking around and exercising, basically. So we were burning it off. We were doing, again, we prepared for this. We knew what we were getting into. We prepared for this. And that's what we do every time we want to have this vacation like that, a trip like that, that's geared around quality cuisine or regional cuisine that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're not going to have on a regular basis. You got to prepare ahead of time. Okay. You are right, though. This is not something you should be doing all the time. You got to focus on health and wellness the majority of the time. I like to live my life 85 to 90% health and wellness conscious, and that 10 to 15% is for stuff like this. And since that trip too, I mean, we've been keeping it tight. Like we had a plan of action for after we got back to cut the crap and keep things tight in the diet and the workout routines and all that stuff. So I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate the concern. Thank you for always being and having my back and being worried about that stuff. But we got you. We were prepared for it. I will say this though, okay, this is not throwing Creature under the bus by any means. It's more to me. It's more impressive, honestly. I didn't eat, like I was eating half portions. Okay, me and our brother Bonji, well, he was eating a lot too. But there was a couple of meals where we would split the meal. We would, instead of a full Italian beef and sausage sandwich, we would split it, and I would have that one half, and he would have it other. Creature was taking it all down. He prepared well enough to be able to take it all down, and still, he didn't gain any weight. He didn't get sick. Nothing he was putting it away. I don't want to tell you how much we all ate, the actual number of calories and stuff, because you want to talk about getting agita, which is Italian heartburn. That'll give you agita for sure. But thank you for the call. Thank you for always being there. That is a huge thing. You're always in the comments. You're always supporting, even if you don't like the particular topic I'm talking about, or it doesn't resonate with you as much or anything like that. You're always there. That is, if I wanted to define what family is to me, that's it right there. Now, I have that also with non-blood family, with my brothers, like the Creature and Bonji and Bone Crusher and Wet Cat and other people I'm forgetting right now that are going to be mad that I forgot maybe or not. McStiff, all those folks in the LPDS Brotherhood. Those are the people I define as family. Tony, as people call him here in the LPDS universe, Tony Sacco. That's what a family member is. He's a ride or die. He'll give his opinion if he agrees or disagrees, but he's always there to support no matter what, and I love that about him. So thank you again for the call. I really appreciate it. That's all we get today, folks. A lot going on, a lot to talk about. I tried my best to, there's a little thumbs up in YouTube land on the iPhone Zoom recording there for you. I tried my best to find a good lesson or the good humor to make things fun and entertaining a little bit. I gotta say, it was tough this week, a lot tougher than usual, and I put a lot more effort in it too. But when you have a situation like this whole presidential situation going on, it was tough for me. I hope I was able to do that. But again, this is one of the reasons why I even do this show to begin with, was to do stuff like this, to have these thought exercises, to find different ways to take in information, critically analyze it, and put it out there for the people, whether it's an entertaining way, an educational way, a funny way, a silly, whatever it is. That's what we were trying to do here. So I hope I was able to do that a little bit for everybody. Probably missed a mark for some of you. That's okay. We're always going to strive to learn, grow, and improve regardless. Before we go, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong. being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that goodness throughout the land to everybody around you. Number one, exercise every day. Whether it's a physical, mental, or emotional exercise, do one thing each day to improve your health and fitness physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. When serious situations like this assassination attempt arise, these are the situations I'm talking about that makes it tough to not just react emotionally immediately to that particular situation. And you saw it in droves after that assassination attempt. You saw the people out there who don't like Donald Trump, and because of that, they have created this monster in their head about him. And they do it with people do it with Biden too. And you saw that with his COVID diagnosis, and after the debate, you saw people doing that too. They create these monsters in their head, so when something happens to them, whatever it is, the monster takes over, and they just start firing off shitty things, justifying in their head of like, well, this person's an animal, so therefore they deserve this sort of treatment in these words and stuff. It's just not the case, okay? Again, unless you're a serial rapist, a serial murderer, a pedophile, like just the most disgusting, despicable, actual despicable human beings, and not just what people tell you about. Like Joe Biden and Donald Trump are not that. They're not the complete gutter sewer trash like sex criminals are, pedophiles and child sex traffickers are, and rapists and murderers. They're just not. Okay, they're just sleazeball, corrupt politicians and businessmen. And misogynistic and despicable in that regard. So you have to take that step back. That's why it's very hard, because you got the emotions running wild. You can't always take the step back, but you got to try to acknowledge in the moment what you're feeling and how you're feeling and why you're feeling it, so you could take that step back and just remove yourself from the situation. Okay, and just by not doing anything, not reacting publicly at all, you're minimizing the negativity and shit and division in the world, and you're giving yourself the capacity. Now you have the time and ability to go focus on more positive, productive things with your lives. Okay? But I know how hard it is. Trust me, I fight it every day. So I get it. Just this past week, there was a couple people that posted some really shitty things publicly on social media. Really shitty things. And I was ready. I had drafted up my responses of how shitty that was, that they did this and all this crap, blah, blah, blah. And I deleted it before sending it. I'm not bragging, but I'm trying to tell you I struggle with this every day. And sometimes I don't delete it. Sometimes I send it out, and it doesn't help. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't help the situation at all. So please, I'm asking you to not be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Number three, the most important one. This is going to help you with number two. Be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. If you spend more time actively thinking about the good things in your life and how grateful you are for them and how shitty your life would be without them, the less time you'll have to go be shitty to other people. And the less times you want to do that. Okay, when you're living in a state of gratitude, that stuff doesn't bother you anymore. It doesn't affect you in that same way. Okay? So if you spend the time in gratitude and being genuinely thankful and grateful, not just giving a lip service, and you couple that with not being a shitty person, and you couple that with exercising every day, I promise you, you do these three things earnestly every day, I promise you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being. You could spread that goodness and positivity to all those around you throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your push notifications on and tell your friends and enemies and call that hotline 202-670-1114. You can call in for anything. You can call in to troll me. You can call in to be shitty if you're still in that mind space to be a shitty person. You can call and be shitty to me. You can call and make jokes, try out new comedy routines, whatever you want to do. Call for advice, questions, anything. 202-670-1114. tell your enemies about it too, so they can call in as well. I love the hotlines. I love the interactions with you guys. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.